Hey, what's up guys? Jonel here. So Gambit's out, and if you're like me, you're excited. I'm a big X-Men fan. Rogue was exciting. She was one of my favorite kind of 90s X-Men characters, but when it comes to like my favorite, it's gotta be Gambit, and I'm really stoked that he's out. I think it's interesting that they came out with a 3 and 5 version. After kind of reviewing both of them, they're essentially the same character. There's really only one power that they slightly differ in. All their powers are actually named the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to combine the two reviews since they're really the same character. I don't think there's value in splitting them up. And what we'll do is we'll look at the 5-star one because he's my favorite. He's the classic Gambit. And what we'll do after that is jump into the kind of test fight with the 3-star version in the Honor Among Thieves event. So let's get into it. So I didn't actually pick up a 5-star Gambit in the X-Men vs. Apocalypse event. So hopefully there's a bunch of you guys out there who did. I'll still be trying to get him though, since he's actually pretty cool. However, I think the 3-star is actually going to be kind of useful, and I'll talk about that as we get into the powers. But let's look at the cover first. So this is one of the Jim Lee X-Men 1 covers. Very cool, again, probably my favorite since it's got Gambit on it. But this is the last one. The other ones are 3-star Beast, the 3-star Magneto, and who else? Oh, 4-star Cyclops. So if you were a comic book collector in the 90s, you probably went out and got all 4 of these, or you got the collector's edition, which was just a fold out with all these. Really cool cover though. Really nice Jim Lee art. So anyways, even if you're not a collector, you could probably go out and get these now for pretty cheap, considering like they mass produce the hell out of like these covers. So just FYI. So here's Gambit, again, level 255. We have no idea really how he scales since I don't have any covers, but decent looking health. He's a purple, red, black, which is very appropriate. I mean, take a look at just his colors of his characters. You know, cool picture right there with the brown trench coat, metal boots, and really weird tight spandex outfit. Definitely a byproduct of 90s comic books. So let's take a look at his powers. So the first one is Ragin Cajun, and it's a purple and it's 11, so it's a little bit expensive. But cost is a little bit different with Gambit here. So let's take a look at the 3. And what he's going to do, unleash a torrent of kinetically charged playing cards targeted at his opponent's weak spots, creates 3 3-turn countdown tiles replacing up to 3 enemy special tiles, which deals 1287 damage. So at level 1, that's not bad. Or I mean 3 covers. And level 255, that's not bad. So basically what he's going to do is he's going to throw out 3 countdown tiles. When they expire, they do damage. The benefit of it is he can throw these 3 and replace up to 3 enemy special tiles. So that's kind of nice. Kind of gets rid of enemy special tiles and does damage. Very standard power. We've seen this a lot with a lot of characters, so it's nothing new. I think the implementation of it is going to be how it's different, though. So at 5 stars, or 5 covers, he creates 4 2-turn countdown tiles, which do the exact same thing, and damage is relatively the same. So basically, with more covers, all you're going to do is cut that countdown down and have more tiles on the board. So, depends if you think you're going to be going against a bunch of guys that throw out a lot of countdown tiles. Plus, this power is probably going to be coming out quite frequently, so you might not want to put 5 covers to this. Let's talk about the 3-star version. So the 3-star version, his Ragin Cajun at 3 covers, Again, same power, same AP cost. What it's going to do is create 2 3-turn countdown tiles, and it's only going to work on enemy strike, protect, or attack. So I guess whatever enemy special tiles there are besides strike, protect, and attack, this will work against. So he gets like a little bit of a bonus with that being a 5-star, and of course at 3 he throws down an extra tile, and at 5, the 3-star version is a 3-turn, 3 countdown, which does again against strike, protect, and attack. So this 5-star version at 5 covers throws down an extra tile, and it takes 1 less turn. So that's covering the only differences between the 3 and 5-star Gambits, except for the fact that, of course, you know, level 255 and match damage and what they look like. The other 2 powers are exactly the same, like word for word. So the second power for Gambit is Aces and 8s. It's a red, it costs 7. So Gambit charges up a killer hand of cards, destroys up to 2 random charged or basic tiles, dealing an extra 849 damage. Let's take a look at 3. 1321 damage for each charged tile destroyed this way, then creates 2 charged tiles. So at face value, this really isn't impressive power. If we take a look at 5 covers, the only thing that changes is damage. It's still only 2 tiles, and it still only creates 2 charged tiles. The cost is 7, so the damage doesn't seem like too significant either. Like 1887 at 5 covers and 1321 doesn't seem like too big of a jump. Whatever this looks like when he ends up being you know, level 450 and maxed out and everything like that. Probably not too spectacular too, but I think the next power is what changes everything. So if we take a look at his last power, it's called Stacked Deck. It's a passive, it's black, doesn't really matter I guess, but at 3 covers, what he does is at the start of the turn, you gain 2 purple AP, 2 red AP. So he's like a battery. Let's take a look at the 5 really quick. At 5 covers, he creates 3 purple AP, 3 red AP. So this is something that I've kind of been wanting for like a long time, because if you're a player and you play against a lot of these minions, then you see that, you know, every turn, even though they don't actually have a turn where they match, they create a bunch of AP for themselves, and it's super useful. If you go against, again, Magia Muscle, the guys who I really hate, you know, they're creating like, I think, you know, 2 or 3, whatever, yellow and blue every turn. You can't stop it. And it's a huge, huge, huge benefit, and no character really has this. You know, there's characters that steal AP, there's characters that do things that trigger countdown tiles that steal AP and this and that and everything, but no character just generates AP as a battery turn by turn. So Gambit's the first one who does that, but it comes with a drawback. So, and this is the same thing with the 3-star version. Gambit's allies may not fire powers the same color as Gambit's active powers. That's kind of a big bummer, but it's not terrible, because it just says characters may not fire active powers, so this works on passives, so definitely think about that. So if you have this at 5 covers, which I'm pretty sure everybody who has a Gambit will be keeping Stacked Deck at 5 covers, there's pretty much no reason to have a Gambit without this power at 5 covers, just because you just want him every turn to keep getting that purple AP and red AP. So he's not going to work well with people like Scarlet Witch and Medusa and, you know, just anybody who uses a purple, or Cyclops, or, you know, Luke Cage, 4-star, you know, anybody who uses like a red, which has a really strong attack. That's unfortunate, but he can pair really well with 4-star Blade. If you have, you know, Gambit, and he's collecting 3 red AP every turn, you maybe only need to make like 1 match before like the next turn or 2. You're just going to have non-stop bloodlust. So that's a pretty awesome thing when you think about it. And again, remember, this isn't kind of, you know, tailored down or whatever for the 3-star version. 3-star version at 5 covers, he's picking up 3 purple AP and 3 red AP too, so that's huge. And this also affects the way that Gambit's other powers work as well. So as I mentioned, aces and eights does not look very impressive, but think of it this way. If you keep matching red, you can almost throw aces and eights out like every turn or two. So that's pretty huge. And then the same thing with Ragin Cajun. If you're collecting 3 purple AP every turn, getting to 11 is really not that hard. You know, you might be able to get a 4 match, get a 3 match, you know, have some things chain and stuff like that. So playing as Gambit, you're going to be throwing out a lot of powers. And I think if you can pair him up with other people who have passives in purple and in red, that also helps too. So, and then someone with charge tiles as well, you know, someone like, well, She-Thor might be bad because you can't use her red, but then her other powers do generate, you know, a good amount of charge tiles, which can deal extra damage. So it'll be really interesting to see how Gambit plays and what people do with him, because he's a very different character, I think, than what we've seen before. But anyways, let's get into a fight with him, with the 3-star version, and then just kind of mess around with him and see how he works. So I've played this a couple times, and this is actually kind of like a re-record of me doing this just because he is so different, and he has kind of evolved from my first impressions of him. I don't think this team is very good because, again, you have a X-23, one of her powers is a purple active, so that just takes one of her powers off the board immediately. But if anything, and same thing with original Black Widow, aggressive recon is a purple, that's an active. So that takes her immediately, at least with one of her powers. But what it is good for is illustrating like how this whole thing kind of works. So already Stack Deck is firing. I'm gonna make a guess that they're giving us a probably like a 3-5-5. Well, I have no idea what aces and eights is because that's just a difference in damage. And kind of the same thing with Ragin Cajun, but he's picking up 3 red, he's picking up 3 purple, so I know that black is a 5. So and in 2 turns, we already have, well, we don't have 11 AP. We have a 9 AP, and we have 7 red. So basically, you just throw out aces and eights, and then we match red. And then boom, we have aces and eights again. So we'll throw it out again. And then let's throw out Stack Deck, or Ragin Cajun. Actually, here, let's try throwing out Tracking Prey. So if you throw out Tracking Prey, you get a Power Cannot Fire. So I don't totally like that. I think it would be nice if they were just kind of grayed out or something like that. Looks like the power is still active. I mean, if there's going to be some kind of mechanic later where, you know, you can kind of suppress that part of his ability, this makes sense. But right now, I think it's just a little bit confusing. So let's throw out Ragin Cajun. And I can, you know, do X-23s holding back, but I'm just going to kind of keep going with Gambit so we can kind of get an idea of how he plays, because it's different. It's fast and furious, if anything. He's getting his AP really, really quick. He's throwing out his powers really quick. So, in a way, if you think about it, this is kind of like when you play against these minion characters, because they're constantly throwing out countdown tiles every turn. But with Gambit, he's actually just throwing out powers every turn. So, and now, you know, all of these Ragin Cajun tiles are going to complete. So if you think about it, with all of these tiles that he's going to be throwing out, countdown tiles, and them completing and everything like that, you know, pairing him up with, you know, Coulson and 5-star Hawkeye is probably going to be a ferocious team that you're going to see. So we have actually stack deck fired. Here's aces and eights again. And we already have 2 of these guys down. They're not really all that strong, but just the amount of abilities you're throwing out, the stack deck, not stack deck, I keep saying that, aces and eights and Ragin Cajun, it's really overwhelming. I mean, the board's just going to be full of countdown tiles, full of charge tiles, and the thing that's kind of cool about Gambit is there's no way you can keep him in check. I mean, you're going to need to have, you know, characters like Wasp and Loki and this and that doing all they can to really kind of just sop up the red and purple, and I don't think that's really going to happen. So, finding a counter for him is going to be kind of interesting too, so I'm going to keep an eye out on that as well. So here we go, yep, Ragin Cajun. And of course this works really well on minions, so I can see a lot of people using Gambit in minion fights just because he's going to be accruing red and purple so frequently. Again, him paired up with Blade would be probably pretty good in that kind of situation. Unfortunately, he's not going to work well with someone like Super Soldier, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of new strategies kind of popping up in response to Gambit, and I think he's a really interesting character. Again, I think having the ability to just constantly get essentially one match of a purple and red AP every turn is going to be huge, and I'm just really curious to see how it's going to change the dynamic of the game, and I'm wondering if at some point maybe he might be a character that gets nerfed, just because he might be too good. Anyways, I'm excited about Gambit. I had like some misgivings about him in the beginning with the, you know, blocking the red and purple of his teammates, and I didn't think his powers were too impressive. But then when you see how you're supposed to play him, just fast and furious, really kind of interesting. And then what he does, who you can pair him with, really interesting, kind of a different new type of character. So I'm thinking that his 3-star version will be very valuable. He might be like a new Doc Strange and Thanos, and I think that it'll be just a really an interesting new different kind of character that people are going to be playing with. So let me know what you guys think. If you have any ideas, if you think I'm totally wrong, whatever. And thanks for watching, guys. Take care.